Let's talk about the books I read in December. The first book I read was Slate House by David Mitchell. This book is about this little black iron gate that appears in Slate Alley every 9 years. And people who are ungifted are drawn to this gate. So every 9 years, some people enter through the gate. And when they do, they come into this garden that belongs to Slate House. But Slate House doesn't exist anymore. So that's strange. I don't want to talk about this too much anymore. Maybe I can tell you that each chapter takes place 9 years later. So each year that the gate opens, we get a new chapter in which it is quite interesting to see the evolution of time and things that are different. But I have to be honest, while I was reading this book, a lot was going on in my life. Work was, pretty bad, I'd say. So I had to pick up this book in bits and pieces, and I wasn't able to read through it or really get into it, which definitely did not make this the greatest experience or the greatest reading experience that I've had. And I do not think that it's the book's fault at all. I think that a lot of the elements that are in here are actually things that I would normally very much enjoy. But this time it just didn't happen for me. So I do feel like I owe it to David Mitchell to read another book by him, just to make sure that he is an author that I actually would love or appreciate. And this just happened at the wrong time. The next book I read was Julie Clark's The Ghostwriter. This one is about a woman, and she has a bad relationship with her father, so much so that she has taken on another name and pretends that he doesn't exist. But her father is this famous author, and she has become a ghostwriter, so she writes memoirs and biographies about people without putting her name on the cover of the book. But now she is in need of money, and her father reaches out to her for her to write his story, or part of his past, actually. Because the father's brother and sister both got murdered when they were young, and nobody actually knows what truly went on there, and now he is offering her to write the actual story of what happened then. Now, reading this was a very different experience for me than reading Slate House, because I had a lot of fun reading this one, although I do think that this one isn't as good as Slate House was, because I was buddy reading this, and with a thriller it is kind of interesting to have someone reading it along with you, and every few chapters we could communicate our ideas and our thoughts and our suspicions with each other, which was actually a lot of fun to do, so I'm looking forward to buddy reading again. So the experience of reading this one was quite a lot of fun. It had a really good build-up as well, because you start contemplating everything that might have happened, could have happened. It's just that the ending for me didn't pay off. I'm not going to spoil it in any way, but it wasn't giving me what I wanted it to do for me, and that was just too bad, because it is quite well written, and I would be interested to read something else by Julie Clark, just to see if she can manage to fulfill what she is promising. Next, I read The Deal of a Lifetime by Fredrik Backman. This is a shorter novella. It is about a father who writes a letter to his son, and he hasn't been the greatest father in the world. He is talking about how he was more interested in leaving his mark upon the world than just being happy in the moment. And he is writing this letter because actually he is in hospital right now, and he feels like the end is coming. Now, this is really just a sad story. I've talked about this in another video before. I missed the humor of Fredrik Backman, which he normally has in his books as well, which is like a bit of a balancing act between the sadness that he is portraying, and you have the humor to pick it up. And I was missing that, so this was just sad. But it is still well written. It is still a Christmassy story, but if this is not the kind of thing you're looking for, like a happy pick-me-up, then no, I would not advise you to read this. Next, I read The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clarke. This is also a novella, and it has a lot of drawings, so it's a quick read. Susanna Clarke I knew from Piranesi, which is very good. But let me first tell you what it is about. There are these two sisters who are in a carriage on their way, and then the older sister drops off the younger sister at the woods because the younger sister wants to be in the woods alone, and this is something that isn't like uh, something that girls are allowed to do in this time period, being alone in the woods. Well, maybe in this time period it wouldn't be advisable either. But yeah, she enters the woods and she has this connection to animals and everything like that. And it's a fairy tale like story. But it wasn't really great. Like the whole plot of the story is a bit meh. That's great criticism, saying something is meh. So the plot of the story wasn't it for me. I do like the writing style though. She has beautiful metaphors, similes. She is wonderful at drawing this picture of a situation or a scene. So I didn't mind reading it, but I would not read it again. Then there was The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Williams. As I've said before, I'm trying to pick up on like all these English children's books that I've missed out on, and The Velveteen Rabbit was really nice to read. It is also very appropriate for Christmas. It is about this little velvet bunny. He is a toy and he would love to be real, but he doesn't really know what real means, and he is being taken care of by this little boy, and to this little boy he is real, so he feels real. So yeah, it's this like Toy Story kind of story. And it is really cute. It still holds up pretty well, I'd say, even nowadays. And the last book I read was Antarctica by Claire Keegan. This is a short story collection by Claire Keegan, and it is actually the last book by her that I still have to read to be caught up with all her work. In this short story collection, the focus is mainly on women and the power that they do or do not have in relationships, or with men at any rate. And I actually enjoyed this one a lot because I also recently read her other short story collection, which was Walk the Blue Fields. And that one was a bit more empty, I'd say, which is ironical because this is called Antarctica, a bit more desolate. While in this one, the stories have a little more content to them. There is a bit more plot going on. So I enjoyed this one more, actually, than I did Walk the Blue Fields. Can I tell anything else about the content? As I said, it is about women having to fight back or making sure they are seen as people or an actual person in their own way against what men feel like they often deserve. Alright, that was it for December. I hope you liked this video and I hope to see you soon in another one. Bye!